You ever watch a movie and get that weird feeling, like you're being shown something more than just a story? That maybe, just maybe, hidden underneath all the fiction, there's some kind of truth. Well, today, we're going to peel back the curtain on Hollywood and look for a blueprint that might be hidden in plain sight. And believe me, what we find might just change the way you watch movies forever.
Okay, so this quote, this is really the key to everything we're going to talk about today. It's a wild idea, right? It suggests that maybe entertainment is actually a kind of psychological conditioning. What if telling us the absolute truth but dressing it up as fiction is their way of getting our subconscious permission for things that are really happening just behind the veil?
So, let's just run with that idea for a minute. Let's imagine that a film isn't just a film, but an instruction set, a schematic. What if a really popular horror movie was actually a step-by-step guide to a very real and very, very dark procedure?
And that idea, it actually has a name. It's a core concept from our source material called the revelation of the method. And this isn't just about dropping a few hints here and there. No, this is a very specific psychological strategy supposedly used by a control system.
So what is it exactly? Well, a revelation of the method is this strategy of showing people precisely what is being done to them, but just wrapping it up as entertainment. And according to this theory, this whole thing serves two huge purposes for the people making the confession.
So this strategy has three main goals. First, by showing us the crime and having us just passively accept it as fiction, the system gets our implied consent on a subconscious level. Second, it inoculates us. So when someone comes along later and tries to expose the real thing, our brain just goes, oh, come on, that's just the plot of a movie, which leads to the third goal. It creates the perfect ironclad shield of plausible deniability.
All right, let's put this theory to the test. Let's get into our main case study. We're going to do a kind of forensic audit on the movie from 2012, The Cabin in the Woods. And we're not going to treat it as some clever horror comedy. We're going to treat it as a detailed schematic for a ritual.
So the core argument here is that this film isn't just telling a story. It's laying out an entire operational manual. It shows us this underground, almost corporate-looking agency that manipulates totally unsuspecting people into participating in their own highly specific and perfectly orchestrated sacrifices.
The film lays out a four-step process, and it's brutally efficient. Step 1 is manipulation. You've got the secret agency pulling all the strings from behind the scenes. Step 2, isolation. The targets are guided to a remote, completely contained environment, basically a kill box. Then comes Step 3, terror generation. The agency uses all this crazy tech to manifest the victim's absolute worst fears to generate the most terror possible. And finally, Step 4 is the ritual sacrifice, where the victims are killed in a very specific, pre-planned way. And this is where it gets really mechanical. The movie gives us these 5 classic horror archetypes, right? But here, they're not just characters. They are required components, like parts in a machine. Each one has a very specific job to do for the ritual to work, from the whore who has to mess up first to the virgin who's the final offering. It's literally a checklist, not a story. But why? I mean, why go through all this trouble? This is where we move from the how of the ritual to the much, much more important question, the why. What is the whole point of this terrifying, elaborate harvest?
I mean, really think about it. This is the central question. Why not just a simple murder? Why all the drama, the specific archetypes, the fear generation machinery? The answer, according to our source material, is all about the specific product that's being created.
And that product has a name, Loosh. Loosh is defined as the emotional energy that we, as conscious beings, produce. You can think of it like a metaphysical resource. And just like any resource, it's harvested and it's consumed. In this case, by parasitic, non-physical entities.
Now, here's the kicker. Not all Loosh is the same. The source material talks about different vintages. You've got your baseline Loosh, which they call the Slurry. That's the low-grade anxiety you get from stuff like being in debt or watching the 24/7 news cycle. It's everywhere, but it's pretty low quality. But then you have Ambrosia Loosh, the good stuff, the delicacy. This is pure existential terror, and it's harvested from extreme trauma and ritual sacrifice. It is the most potent and the most prized vintage of all.
So if this Ambrosia Loosh is the super valuable product, who were the customers? Who's buying it? Well, the movie gives us a pretty clear answer, and it's one that connects this modern horror story directly to some really ancient, esoteric ideas.
In the film, this whole horrific show is put on to feed and pacify these beings called the Ancient Ones, these huge, powerful entities that are sleeping deep inside the earth. The Ambrosia Loosh is literally a sacrifice to keep them asleep, because if they don't get fed, they wake up and they destroy the entire world, which, would end the harvest for everybody.
And here's where a modern Hollywood movie seems to plug directly into ancient history. The film's Ancient Ones are basically a modern retelling of entities from old Gnostic texts. The Demiurge, which is this kind of false creator god, and its servants, the Archons. The names might be different, but their role as cosmic parasites that feed on our energy, it's identical. You see, these Gnostic texts describe the Archons as parasitic beings. They were born separate from the true, divine source, so they can't create their own life force. They don't have their own fuel. To survive, they have to consume the emotional energy, the loosh, of other beings. And that's why, according to this theory, they manage our reality as one giant loosh farm.
And that realization is when the lens really zooms out. The ritual in the cabin, you begin to see it's not some one-off thing. It's just one small, very specialized cog in a much, much, much larger system.
The big overarching thesis here is that our entire world, every major system of control, is designed at its very root to function as a factory farm, a huge, sophisticated, and brutally efficient farm for the mass production of emotional energy.
So, what's the most efficient harvester on this farm? The war machine. It generates unimaginable amounts of the highest potency loosh, terror, grief, hatred. From this point of view, a world in constant conflict isn't some political failure, it's a successful harvest. A world at peace would literally mean a famine for these entities.
Then you've got the economic system, that constant, low-level hum of anxiety about bills, about debt, about just making ends meet. That's the slurry we talked about earlier. It's the baseline food source that keeps the whole system fed, day in and day out.
And finally, there's the media engine. That endless cycle of bad news, political outrage, and social division. It isn't just for ratings. In this view, it's an automated algorithm specifically designed to stimulate the livestock, that's us, and then harvest all the fear and anger that gets produced.
And that really brings us to the final, chilling summary of this whole worldview. It completely reframes our reality. It suggests that all the chaos, all the fear, all the suffering we see isn't some unfortunate byproduct of a broken system, but the primary, intended product of a system that is working exactly as designed.
So, I'll leave you with this question. If a movie like The Cabin in the Woods can be read as a detailed schematic, what other films out there might be confessions hiding in plain sight? Once you start looking through this lens, what other blueprints might you start to see?